Hi there, and welcome to this Custodes beginner's painting tutorial. This model has been primed with the standard Halford's Black primer, and we start painting the model by using the ScaleColor Necro Gold all over the gold parts. I'm using a large dry brush for this because I want to speed up the whole process, and as you can see I'm not very neat. I'm using very fast motion over the whole of the miniature to ensure that I get a good coverage, and this takes a few coats, so make sure that the paint is dry before going over it again. So now I'm going over the parts I didn't want any gold on, so mainly the cloak. I'm going to use the Vallejo model colour black, and this requires a few thin coats. Now that the cloak is mostly black, I go in with a mix of black and Mephiston Red, and I start mapping out the areas where I want the cloak the lightest, which are mostly the raised parts, and I'm making sure not to hit any of the recesses with the red, as we do want to keep some contrast. Whilst the cloak is drying, we're going to give the gold a wash using the Guilliman Flesh Contrast paint. I smother this on all over the gold and make sure that it's not pooling too much. Whilst the contrast paint is drying, I start painting all the red parts, so it's mostly the tassely bits on the belt and the shoulders and also the crest. I target the red where I want it to be the lightest, leaving the black in the shadows and also in the bends of the tassels. Now to highlight the cloak, I'm going to start building up the red that we previously put down, and I'm going to be using very fast, thin lines, just hitting the places that I want to be brightest. Now more tidying, we're just going to start basing all the parts we want metallic, black, so the spear and the gun. For the metallics, we're going to be using lead Belcher. This does require a few coats to get good coverage, and I forgot to record the next step, but I did use a Drakkenhof Nightshade all over the lead Belchered parts. Now for my favourite part, highlighting the gold. I start by using the ScaleColor Necro gold. I'm targeting all the edges and parts of the armour that I want to catch the light, and I'm making sure that I'm avoiding any of the recesses. Now for the final highlight of the gold, I use the ScaleColor Peridot Alchemy. Just like the previous step, I'm only catching the parts that I want to be shiny, and I make sure to leave some of the previous highlights still showing. highlight the metal using lead Belcher, hitting all the edges and parts I want to be shiny, whilst also avoiding the recesses. Probably the trickiest part of this miniature is applying the very fine line within the lens. Don't worry if you mess up, I did, and to fix that I used a very fine black line of Vallejo model colour black. Now for all the gemstones, I base them using Macragge blue, and then I use Calgar blue on the bottom quarter, and then I use Vallejo black on the top quarter, and this creates a nice little gem effect. I then use Vallejo Wolf Grey just to put a tiny dot in within the black. I forgot to highlight the weapon, so I go back with lead Belcher, and on the X head I use tiny little lines across the edge at different lengths whilst using a fast motion, and this helps it give it a bit of a scuffed, weathered look. And the final stage of this model is that I use gloss varnish all over the gemstones. So this is the finished model. It took roughly about 2.5 hours to paint whilst live streaming. And if you have any schemes or models that you want to see painted in the future on this channel, please just drop me a comment down below. Until next time, take care.